we go. Okay. All good to go, I think. Yes. Alright. So we're picking up at chapter 7. Things are tense. What was going on? Yes, so Waltz's curse has been lifted, which I'm very glad of. And Lucette stayed behind when everyone else was escaping because her father also stayed behind. But now her father has an escape route and they're both escaping as well. Fingers crossed that it works out. Oh, right, no. And they're going through the escape tunnels and they've just come across her mother in stasis. And she was having good bonding moments with her father, which is nice, because this is the first time in the entire game that I've seen that. Oh, oops. Certainly that is a visual. Right, so, Chapter 7, The Witch and the Crystal. I feel that I cannot trust my eyes, because it is indeed Mother standing before us. Yep, there she is. Lucette, thinking to herself. She looks the same as when I last saw her, like she has just been sleeping all of this time. King Gennaro. What is Hildir doing here? Lucette, thinking to herself. Is that the Crystallum Tenebrarum? Out loud. She looks like she's been trapped inside the crystal, but how? King Gennaro. No, she passed on 4 years ago. This is impossible. Mithros. A lovely surprise, isn't it? King Gennaro, shocked. The king immediately moves to stand in front of me. Sir Mithros saunters towards us with a wide smile on his face, looking unperturbed. Mithros. Isn't she exquisite? Even in slumber, she is still so beautiful. King Gennaro. What is the meaning of this, Mithros? When Mithros does not answer, the king reaches for his knife and frowns. King Gennaro. What exactly are you and Alcaster planning? Mithros. I am offended that you are associating the two of us. My goals are different from Alcaster's. My only wish is to see my queen again. Alcaster is the one who is after your throne. Lucette. What are you going to do with Mother? Mithros. I plan to revive her. Lucette. What? I stare at Sir Mithros, shocked. Lucette. Revive Mother? Is it even possible to bring back the dead? Mithros. She is still alive, dear princess. My queen is only sleeping. Her link to the Tenebrarum has allowed her to survive all of these years. She infused the last of her power with the crystal and merged with it. She was wise, yet even as its light grows dimmer, so too does the light of her life come close to being extinguished. Once you have fully accepted your role as the new bearer of the Crystallum Tenebrarum, her link with it will be severed and she will die. That's why I need you, princess. I need your powers to bring her back to life. Lucette. What? Mithros. On your 18th birthday, you will inherit the crystal's powers, and with that power you will revive my queen. Isn't this what you've always wanted? To have your beloved mother back? Lucette. Thinking to herself. It is true that I have always wished for Mother to come back. But Delora and Parfait told me the truth, and now that is the last thing I want. What if Mother ruins the kingdom once again? Yes, same thing as what happened in Fritz's route, but she's in a way better position for it. Oh, hello, Johnny. You are coming in at a tense time, but it's right at the beginning of the chapter because I started a little late, so... The chapter is just inherently tense. we're getting anytime we're like past chapter 7 and later is the later half usually of the path. So, oof. King Gennaro, I will not let that happen. I will not let my kingdom fall into darkness again. But yeah, it's nice. I'm glad that Lucette is in a way better place this time. She has not been like deceived by Mithros this whole time, and she knows it's a bad idea to revive her mother, unlike in the previous room. So let's see how this goes down. The king charges towards Sir Mithros with a knife in his hand. But Sir Mithros easily sends him flying backwards with a flick of his wrist and a magic spell. The knife falls to the ground, just a few feet from where I stand. Lucette, Your Majesty! I am about to run to him when Varg steps out of the darkness of the room and points a sword at the king's throat. Varg, don't move, princess, otherwise my hand might slip. I freeze in my spot. Lucette thinking to herself, has he been here this whole time? Mithros, now, princess, you have an important decision to make. Help me revive the queen and save the king, or run away and he dies. King Gennaro, my life is nothing compared to the lives that will be lost if Hildir is brought back. I would gladly trade my life for any of the lives she would steal. Mithros, foolish king, you cannot gamble with your life when it is no longer in your hands. Sir Mithros growls at the king. Oh, I guess that should have been like more like. Okay, I'm gonna reread that, knowing the tone. I hate that they tell you the tone after the sentence is said. Anyway, Mithros, foolish king, you cannot gamble with your life when it is no longer in your hands. Sir Mithros growls at the king before facing me once again. He flashes a crooked smile. How about it, princess? Lucette, there is no way the right answer is to agree. Like, hello, Bukara. It is a very, like, you know, on the one hand, Lucette would probably want to save her father. On the other hand, it ain't worth it. Lucette thinking to herself, I cannot let Sir Mithros kill the king, but I cannot let him revive Mother either. If I can just improvise, I might be able to hold them long enough for some backup to arrive. I catch a glimpse of the king's knife, which is just a few feet from me, when an idea strikes me. Lucette thinking to herself, Waltz, Parfait, Delora, they have to come for us. Out loud, I refuse. Mithros, what? Sir Mithros looks at me, irritated. The king, however, looks relieved. Mithros, the king's blood shall be on your hands then, Varg. I quickly lean down to pick up the knife and hold it to my neck. Mithros, Princess, what are you planning to do with that? Put that down before you hurt yourself. Lucette, let the king go, or I will kill myself. I know you need me to revive Mother. Damn, Lucette. That was what I figured she was going for when she, like, looked down at the knife. But, like, it's really her only play here that has a chance of achieving all of her objectives. Mithros, ha! Do not take me for a fool, princess. I know you do not have the courage to die a martyr. Annoyance simmers within me. Lucette, oh, are you sure of that? I swallow as I press the blade to my neck. I feel the sharp edge cut through skin, but the blade does not go deep enough to hit any vital parts. I cringe as my body is racked with pain, and tears blur my vision. Lucette thinking to herself, I am scared. Mithros, you fool! Sir Mithros' face is pale as he attempts to step towards me. Lucette, now you see my resolve. Let the king go. Mithros. Mithros curses under his breath, his outstretched hand clenching into a tight fist before he draws it back. Lucette thinking to herself, "It's working!" I feel myself relax, but my hope is short-lived and foolish. Mithros casts a spell, and the knife goes hot in my hand. A scream escapes my mouth as I fall to the floor and clutch at my injured hand. Oh, thank you, Charlotte Charles. Are you a Charlotte that I know, or are you a person who is coming in because of the game? Either way, hello and welcome to my stream. We are in Chapter 7, and it's very, very tense. Which makes sense because this is sort of the final route of the game, or it's the true, like, in story order, which means things are going to be, like, we're only on Chapter 7 of 10, but things are already high octane. Mithros. You have been a very bad princess. Your mother would be disappointed in you. I glare at Mithros, but he only clicks his tongue, face stern. Mithros. This would have been so much more pleasant if you'd chosen to work with me, princess. I will get what I want, princess. Even if I must break you to revive my queen, I will do it. I will suffer the consequences for it later. Mithros turns to Varg. Mithros. Varg, put them both in the cells. Well, on the plus side, Lucette's goals have still been accomplished. Her mother has not been revived. Her father is not dead. I take a few steps back as Varg approaches us. All I manage to do is back myself into the wall. Varg looks at me, amused, like a cat toying with a mouse. He takes another step, but I do not get to see the movements he makes afterward. A bright light engulfs the area, eliciting an agitated hiss from Mithros. Mithros. Magic? But how? I mean, because obviously her crew caught up. There is no way Waltz would not immediately turn around and run back for her. When the light clears, Varg is still standing, his eyes on my feet. I follow his gaze. Oh, it's because, the light was, no, the light was because Lucette broke her curse all on her own. Oh, yeah. Being prepared to sacrifice yourself to save everyone else is a fairly classic altruism move. So that tracks. I'm so glad that she got to break her curse herself instead of just having it break automatically on her birthday. My shoes have been replaced with 2 beautiful glass slippers. Lucette. I broke my curse? Thinking to herself. What did I do? The king looks at me, his eyes hazy. He opens his mouth to speak, but then stops when Mithros comes to hover just above him, his expression fixed into a glare. Mithros. Oh, how charming. But your broken curse will not help you now, princess. Now, be a good girl and allow Varg to escort you to your cell. Varg takes us to one of the prison cells and locks us up. Varg. This time be a good girl and don't try to escape. I scowl at him. He only smirks in response. Varg. Feisty as always. He flashes me a lopsided smile before taking his leave. King Gennaro. Lucette. The king quickly takes my hand in his and pulls me down to the floor to sit beside him. He reaches into his pocket, then withdraws a handkerchief. Lucette. Thinking to herself, what is he doing? He neatly folds the cloth and then leans towards me. I cringe back on reflex. He gingerly presses the handkerchief onto my injured skin. I cringe as I feel the pain. Yes! I mean, that took a while for the right choice indicator, but I was pretty confident. I don't know how it would have gone down if she agreed to revive her mother, actually. I'm kind of curious. Something would have... I wonder how different it is. I'll check on my own later. King Gennaro. I am so sorry, Lucette. Your injury is my fault. Lucette. You have nothing to apologize for. I did it to save you, and yet here we are. I am the one that owes you an apology. I turn my gaze away in shame. The king cups my cheek and turns my head so that I am facing him. The gesture is so gentle that it moves me to tears. King Gennaro. A father should be the one to protect his child. Always. His face is twisted in pain as he stares at me, eyes brimming with tears. Lucette, thinking to herself, I see the recognition in his eyes. Having reunited with my father like this makes me realize that I still cared for him. Oh, honey, it was very obvious that you still cared about your father. You were just really, really distressed because you thought he didn't care about you. Oh, I'm so glad. Like, so this is the second route that we get, like, a King Gennaro actually apologizes to her, but this one is so much better because it's like, this time it really feels like he gets the depth of how much he hurt her. In the other one, I'm not 100% sure he did, but anyway. King Gennaro, please, forgive me. Except, I already have. The words take a great weight off of my heart. It is as if the ice that has been shrouding it for so long is finally melting away. Without another word, my father throws his arms around me, trapping me in a warm embrace. Lucette, thinking to herself, oh dang. Yeah, like, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm really glad that he's doing this and he's probably gonna make amends, but like, boy, was he a bad father to her for a long time. Lucette, thinking to herself, this is the first time he has ever hugged me. I feel tears brimming in my eyes, and soon I am crying as I bury my face into my father's shoulder. King Gennaro, I am sorry. Please forgive me, my dear daughter. We stay like this for what seems like a lifetime, leaning against each other and crying, silently asking for forgiveness. Once we are more relaxed, I sit down beside my father and tell him what has transpired since I was cursed. His expression becomes darker with every word that I speak. King Gennaro, you have suffered so much, and I have not been able to ease that suffering in any way. Lucette, no, my life as a commoner showed me things that I had never appreciated before. It was more fulfilling than my life in the palace. The moment I became cursed might be the first moment I started truly living. I take a deep breath as I contemplate the question that has been in my heart all this time. Lucette, Your Majesty, have you ever loved me? I am terrified, but I still force myself to look right at the king. King Gennaro, I have always loved you, Lucette. I value you more than my own life. You are my everything, my daughter. I blink at him, my eyes filled with tears. Lucette, I've waited so long to hear those words from you. If you loved me, why were you not there for me? Why did you let Mother do this to me? Was it because I was her daughter? King Gennaro, it is true that you are her daughter, but you are also mine. I don't even remember how we... His voice trails off and he avoids my eyes. He sighs softly. King Gennaro, I was put under a spell that night. Months later, you came along. I thought I could never bring myself to love you, not when you were the witch's daughter. But you were different. She was darkness, and you were light. And then she corrupted you. Hildir forbade me to get close to you. She was afraid that I would influence you to betray her. She told me that she would steal you away completely if I ever approached you. I couldn't bear the thought of losing my own daughter, so I did as she demanded. I had to watch you grow up from afar. I had to push you away. Yes, okay. I will say I've never doubted King Gennaro why he avoided her when she was a child. It was obvious. It was always Hildir not allowing him near her. Yes. But Okay, buddy, I hope you have a pretty good excuse for why you never reapproached her after her mother died. Oh, it was him who did the birthday thing. You know, everyone was always like signed M and thought it was... What is King Gennaro's first name? I wonder. Anyway, King Gennaro. Or maybe Waltz helped him. I don't know, we'll find out. King Gennaro. The only thing I could do for you was help you celebrate your birthday every year. And just anyone who might be lacking the context or might not be remembering it, one thing we know about Lucette was that every year for her birthday as she was growing up, she would get a secret note that would lead her to a secret place where there would be cake and dolls, and she always thought it was her mother, you know, showing that she cared, but it was very obviously not her mother. And like for a while we theorized it was Waltz because it was always, the notes were signed M, and you know, the thought was maybe it was a W, but I never actually expected that the whole time it might have actually been her father. Lucette, shocked, thinking to herself, the birthday surprises every year. The letters that led to the secret birthday rooms. Out loud. Those surprises were always the highlight of my birthday. This whole time, it was you who planned those surprises? King Gennaro. I could not let you know that it was I who planned those surprises. The beautiful smile that you had on your face when you saw all of your gifts was more than enough. I'm truly sorry for everything, Lucette. For not being a good father. For not being there for you. For pushing you away. After your mother died. Yes? He pauses, then shakes his head. King Gennaro. After I thought she had died, I thought I might make it up to you, but I failed miserably as your father. You were already so far away from me. I tried to get close to you, but... Lucette. I drove you away. King Gennaro. I do not blame you. I think back to all those times when he tried to talk to me or approach me. I would always walk away or refuse to talk to him. Okay, you know what? I never expected that Lucette was that much of an unreliable narrator. I will give King Gennaro some credit here, because I've always been so mad at him for not trying to be there for her when she was grieving her mother. Because she always was like, he wasn't there for me when I needed him. But this sure sounds like he actually did try. That he kept approaching her and to try and be there for her, and she kept just like walking away or like doing the metaphorical equivalent of plugging her ears and going la 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 la, and then she blamed him for it, and oof. I genuinely did not expect that. So, you know what, Gennaro? I'll give you a little more credit than I had been giving. Like, not all the credit back, because there's still definitely points where he just sort of failed, but... You know, even so, I really appreciate knowing that he tried a lot more than was obvious. Lucette, thinking to herself. Because I hated him. I was convinced he didn't love me. King Gennaro. Oh, okay, this is also true. This is good. King Gennaro. I tried, but I tried too late and not hard enough. I should have tried better to understand you. I should have tried harder to see what your mother had done to you. I have never expected any sort of forgiveness, and yet you still gave it to me. But now I am at a loss as to what I can do to make it up to you. Okay, I do appreciate that. So it's like, it's nice to know he actually did try, but my constant feeling was that he should have tried harder. And so I actually really also appreciate knowing, first of all, he did try a little harder than Lucette realized. And second of all, you know, he probably still could have tried harder. And I'm glad to hear him acknowledge that. Okay, so Johnny says, I was listening to something yesterday where a character was described as seeking out the trauma that will justify the angst they feel. And that sounds like it might be appropriate for Lucette. I think you might be right, Johnny. Like, I think, you know, I think it was learned behavior from her mother. But, like, you know, I've said this whole time, her mother was extremely emotionally abusive to her. So, like, it was learned behavior she had to unlearn. But you might be right, Johnny. Like, and I actually am thinking it might be a combination, right? Like, Lucette kept, like, not being willing to talk to him and ignoring him when he tried, and so he stopped trying because he got discouraged. And so it's like Lucette didn't want to let him in, but also he wasn't sure how to work around that, so he backed off, and that was the worst of both worlds, I think, is what ended up happening. Anyway, Lucette. But you're here now, right? I smile at him hesitantly, and he smiles back. He leans forward to place a kiss on my forehead, even as he wipes a tear away. King Gennaro. I love you, Lucette. Lucette. I love you too, Father. He rests his hand on my cheek. King Gennaro. Allow me to make it up to you. Allow me to protect you. You cannot bring her back, Lucette. There would be too many consequences. Lucette. But if I refuse to help them, they will kill you. Father shakes his head and smiles. If I have to give up my life to give you and our kingdom a brighter future, then so be it. Oh no. Well, I'm really glad that they got all of this time to, like, reconnect and bond and stuff. Oh yes, Johnny. It's also a very, oh my gosh, you're not wrong. It's a very Catcher move to be like, pushes everyone away with the utmost force. Everyone abandoned me! Yeah, learned abusive behavior. Slash abused behavior, yeah. Varg. Princess, it's almost time to go. Father moves to stand in front of me. King Gennaro. I won't let you take her. Varg doesn't answer. He silently taps his cane to the ground, creating the same energy force as before, sending Father back into the wall with an invisible force. Lucette. Father! Father staggers back to his feet and gazes at me with a pained expression. King Gennaro. Don't do this, Lucette. I ball my hands into tight fists. Lucette, thinking to herself. I have no other choice. Out loud. I'm sorry, Father, but I cannot let them kill you. I try to smile at him reassuringly before walking away with Varg. The last thing I hear is him calling my name before Varg closes the door, and there is silence in the hallway. I am once again standing in front of Mother's crystallized form. Mithros. It's time, Princess. Now, put your hands over the crystal. I stare at my mother's crystallized form in silence, but fear takes hold of my body. Mithros. Time is of the essence, Princess. I do as commanded and set my hands on the surface of the crystal. Okay, interesting. So Hildir still gets revived in this. With this all going down in Chapter 7, I thought there might be a good chance that would happen, but it's going to be super different, because last time she was like, she had no idea. Like, she was convinced to revive her mother and thought she was just getting her beloved mother back, and then learned that her mother was horrible. Whereas now, she already knows, which is going to change the dynamic a lot. Moments later, the clock strikes 12, and my body suddenly grows heavy. A strange power begins to flow through me. Lucette. What is happening? I attempt to pull my hands back, but to no avail. Not only are they heavy, but they feel as if they are glued to the crystal. Even as I struggle to move, I feel my energy dimming as the crystal grows brighter and brighter. Mithros. Yes! Yes! I blink a few times as tears begin to sting my eyes. I bite my lip in an attempt to keep myself from falling unconscious, and the effort only makes me taste blood. Waltz. Lucette! Mithros. Shocked. Fuck yeah! Aw, yes! I'm sorry, I love that. Aw, yes. Oh, I'm very much here for the, like, love interest coming in, like, running in to rescue the main character at the last moment. Like, you know, I know the damsel in distress trope is a little overdone and can be problematic, but like, in an otome romance game, I do still find it a little bit dreamy. Like, I am here for this, and this is also a very cool CG. Out of the corner of my eyes, I catch a glimpse of Waltz by the door, his hands glowing as he prepares to cast a spell. Lucette. Waltz! Waltz's eyes meet mine, his expression contorting in anger as he turns to glare at Mithros. Waltz. This is madness, Myth! Mithros. You're too late, Waltz. Just a little bit more and the energy transfer will be complete. And my queen will be free from her prison. Waltz. Shocked. I won't let you do this! Waltz releases his spell at Mithros, who quickly conjures a shield to protect himself. Lucette, thinking to herself, I feel so weak. I feel my knees giving out. The next thing I know, Waltz stands beside me with a dagger. He drives the edge of the dagger into the tenebrarum's surface, cracking it slightly. And then I am free. Waltz catches me in his arms, just before my body hits the floor. Waltz. Stay with me, Lucette! My body relaxes when I feel his arms around me. I squint up at his face, but his features are blurry. I have to blink a few times to clear my vision. I'm going to save there because I want to go back and check that out on my own later. I do like what took you so long. It's kind of funny, but I think I knew you'd come back as sweeter. And, I mean, that's not always Lucette's style, but by this point, I think it's more fitting. So we will have Lucette say, I knew you'd come back. Waltz. Thank you for trusting me. I will always come back for you, no matter the risks. Lucette. Thank you. Waltz. Don't speak, princess. Save your strength. Mithros. How did you get in here? Mithros. Continues. What? Parfait. It looks like we made it just in time. Parfait steps through a hole in the wall that her outburst of magic created. She looks solemn. Mithros. You! How dare you show your face here! You who tried to kill my beloved queen! Lucette. Kill? Mithros raises his hand to cast a spell, but Parfait quickly freezes him in place with a flick of her wrist. I am surprised, but then I realize that Parfait is the Lucis bearer. Even in her weakened state, it seems she is a force to be reckoned with. She turns to face me with a weak smile on her face. Parfait. As the bearer of the Crystallum Lucis, it is my duty to stop Hildur. Such was my goal, even back then. Even when the two of us were dear friends. While Parfait is speaking, Varg slowly moves forward with his cane. He seems just about ready to bring it down to the ground when Parfait turns in place and casts a spell. The magic hits the cane head-on, shattering it on impact. Varg, however, seems surprisingly calm. Varg. It's a good thing that wasn't the only weapon I had, huh? Varg suddenly charges towards Parfait. Something silver and sharp glints in his hand. Parfait doesn't even move as she casts another spell, knocking Varg back against the wall. The knife in his hand clatters to the ground. Varg staggers back to his feet. The mask covering his eyes falls from his face as he stands. When he looks up, I feel my blood turn cold. Lucette. Fritz? Varg wags his finger at me, his smile crooked. Varg. Maybe I look like him a little, but you can't seriously think we're the same person, can you? I clutch Waltz's shirt between my fingers as I stare. Everything begins to feel hazy once again. Lucette thinking to herself, what is going on? Waltz. Lucette. King Gennaro. Lucette! I hear my father before I see him. When I turn, he is limping towards us with a pained expression on his face. I can only assume that he somehow made it out of his cell, or that someone helped him out. I mean, to be fair, we've only seen Waltz and Parfait. Delora might have been somewhere helping with the jailbreak. Waltz's arm is still there to support me as I walk toward my father. Father reaches out to touch both of my cheeks. His warmth makes me flinch. King Gennaro. You are cold! Lucette. I will be fine. Father clenches his fist and turns to Mithros. King Gennaro. It's over now, Mithros. Voice. Not quite. A bright light suddenly surrounds the Tenebrarum, and the whole room is engulfed in white. Voice. I should have killed you a long time ago, dear Gennaro. Oh no. Oh no! Oh no! I hope that isn't him dying! Anyway, it sounds like it was a little too far, and Hildir has revived after all. Oof. Oof. Oh. I hope Gennaro doesn't die. But to be fair, I have for a while been expecting that was a good chance. That had a good chance of happening. Lucette. Father! I am unable to see what has happened, but as soon as the light disappears, I see what horror has happened before me. I scream when I spot the large gash in my father's chest. Blood pours from a wound, from a blade of light. I catch my father in my arms as he stumbles back. Waltz quickly comes to stand beside me to help support him. Lucette. Father! Hildir. Now this kingdom is mine once again. The voice is familiar, but distantly so. It is a voice from my memories. I look up, and suddenly, there she is. My mother stands before me, beautiful and regal. Her eyes are cold, lacking any kind of love as she looks over at me. Hildir. Lucette. Mithros. Welcome back, my queen! Mithros, who has somehow managed to escape from Parfait, is now down on one knee before Mother. Parfait. Hildir. Hildir. Hello, dear Fae. It's been a while. Parfait puts a hand to her chest as she begins to cough. She collapses to her knees. Hildir. You have grown weaker since we last fought. Waltz. Lady Parfait! Mother's eyes snap to Waltz and narrow. I see that the traitor is here too. I also see you've managed to reunite with my daughter. Mother flicks her wrist as she casts her spell. Hildir. You will pay for what you did to me. Parfait. Step back! Parfait quickly steps in front of us, and an invisible barrier appears just as Mother conjures a series of sharp ice projectiles. They bounce harmlessly off of the shield, but I can feel the rumble in the ground as they tumble down to the floor. Parfait. Ugh. Lucette. Parfait! Parfait is still kneeling on the ground. Now I can see blood on her lips. King Gennaro. Lucette. I look down at my father. His shirt is soaked with blood, but his eyes are still barely open. Lucette. Father! I feel tears brimming in my eyes. The room fills with light, this time emanating from the floor. Slowly, our surroundings begin to blur. Hildir. Go then! Run away, Parfait! That's all you have ever done! Parfait's voice is pressed and pained as she speaks. Parfait. We will stop you, Hildir. The last thing I see is Mother's wicked smile. Then the light swallows us whole. If the chapter does not end about here, I will be surprised. But then again, I guess it's actually not been very long, but I've also been reading pretty heavily. This feels like a good chapter endpoint. When the light fades, we are back in the Marchen. Parfait is still on the ground, though now she seems like she might sink into it. Ennis. Lady Parfait! Parfait. I'll be fine. Just call Rumple. Quickly! Waltz darts from the room immediately. Lucette. Father, please hold on! My father's clothes are now dyed a thick crimson that stains my hands and dress. Moments later, Waltz returns with Rumple. He rushes over to the king the moment he sees him. Rumple tears my father's shirt open, revealing a deep wound on his chest. He quickly looks over his body, then attempts to apply pressure to the wound, but the bleeding does not stop. Rumple. He's lost too much blood. Lucette. Can't you do something? Rumple. I will do my best, but there is only so much I can do, princess. I cannot perform miracles. There is a faraway look in his eyes as he says this, an almost pained expression on his face. His helpless expression makes the panic surge in me again. Okay, to be fair, I guess this also makes sense, because we do still have to deal with the aftermath of King Gennaro being horrifically morally wounded. That said, it looks like things are immediately going to become, like, emotional again, and I need to refill my water, so I'll be right back. I return with water. So yes, Rumple has just stated, much to his own displeasure, he cannot perform miracles. And Lucette responds, You call yourself a doctor? Rumple. Silence. Waltz. Lucette, calm down. Lucette. I cannot lose him, Waltz! King Gennaro. I don't have much time left, Lucette. I turn to look down at my father, my eyes filling with tears. Lucette. No, no, no! Don't say that, father! King Gennaro. I wanted to see you become queen, but it seems that this is the end for me. I collapse beside father, and he reaches up a shaking hand to touch my wet cheek. King Gennaro. Protect our kingdom. I can only nod at him. I will always be with you. I love you, Lucette, and I am proud that you are my daughter. Father smiles at me, and it is so genuine and warm that it brings fresh tears to my eyes. His eyes slowly close, but the smile never leaves his lips. Lucette. Father? I shake him, but he does not react. Lucette. No! No! I lean over my father, willing him to come back, to open his eyes, but he is no longer breathing. For the first time in my life, I cry for my father. The only death that, like, hit this hard for me was, well, actually, Garland and Jurian was pretty rough in Fritz's route, but, like, also Delora was really hard. But, oof, this one is a lot. Oof. I should put some content warnings up on this one. Death of a parent and all that. Ever since my father's death, I have locked myself in my room. I am filled with constant grief and pain, but have become numb on the inside. Even when I want to cry, the tears won't come. Waltz. Lucette, I brought you something to eat. Lucette. I am in no mood to eat. Waltz sets the tray down and walks toward me. The blankets crumple as he sits down beside me. Slowly, he wraps his arms around me and strokes my hair. Waltz. What happened wasn't your fault, Lucette. He did what any father would do for his daughter. Lucette. He did not deserve to die the way that he did. Thinking to herself. By mother's hand. Waltz. I know. I curl my fingers into Waltz's shirt. Lucette. I do not want to lose anyone anymore, Waltz. Waltz continues stroking my hair. Waltz. It'll be fine. I promise. For now, you need to rest, Lucette. I'll be here by your side until you fall asleep. He plants a kiss on my forehead, and I close my eyes, relishing his warmth. Waltz's hold is firm but comfortable, and I sink into his arms as I fall into a dreamless sleep. Bleh. Bleh. Days later, the palace announces father's death. It isn't long before Alcaster is given his crown. The announcement of his ascension comes with an explanation of the king's death. The palace paints me as a criminal, telling the townsfolk that I was the one who killed the king. I am labeled a fugitive, and the royal family is officially declared missing. We have all been hiding together since then, the royal family included. Now it has been 2 weeks since father died. The longer time moves on, the more aware I become of one gaping realization. Mother has not yet shown herself to the public. Lou sat thinking to herself, what could she be plotting? I placed my hand over my heart, willing the pain away. Every time I think of Mother, I remember the sword of light that went through my father's body. Enough time has passed. Even though I am suffering losses, I cannot stand idle. I have a promise to fulfill. Lou sat thinking to herself, I will protect our kingdom. I am about to go back to my room when Parfait calls me. Dolores stands beside her. Parfait. Lucette, can we talk with you? I look away, avoiding their eyes. Lucette, what is it that you want to discuss with me? Delora. It's about the Tenebrarum. Despite Hildir's revival, it appears the crystal's light is still dim. That can mean only one thing. Hildir is still weak. Lucette. Still weak? Parfait. Hildir was absorbing all of your powers when we found you. We interrupted the process. The crystal was not able to absorb all of the magic you now possess. That is why she is still weak. Also, there was something else that bothered me about the crystal. Something odd. Lucette. Odd? Parfait. A bearer has a very strong bond with their crystal. A mutual relationship of sorts. But that bond was absent when she returned. Lucette. What are you saying? Parfait. It seems as if the crystal is forsaking their bond. Lucette. What? Parfait. It seems even the crystal knows that Hildir's time has come and gone. Princess, the crystal has already chosen you as its next bearer. Delora. Oh, oops. Delora. It's a small blessing, but it doesn't change the fact that Hildir is still the strongest witch. Parfait. At least, that is what she wants us to think. Parfait and Delora exchange a glance. Parfait. The crystal has chosen its next bearer, and you have just as much potential, if not even more. Delora turns to me, her usually lax expression more solemn. Yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense, because in Fritz's route, Lucette did not actually... was still on her mother's side, and the crystal might have reacted to that. But this time she is avidly against her mother, and the crystal may be reacting to that. Sorry, one sec. Alright. Delora. Are you ready to learn magic, Lucette? Okay, sorry. Delora. Are you ready to learn magic, Lucette? Magic that you will potentially use to defeat your mother? Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself. I have never used magic before in my life. I have never been raised as a witch. And using magic to defeat Mother. Out loud. I do not know. Parfait. Silence. Well, regardless of what decision you make, we'll all be here to support you. Delora and I want you to know that. Lucette thinking to herself. How is it that they are still willing to help me when I was the one that caused this whole mess? Out loud. I need some fresh air. I begin to walk towards the door when I see Ophelia walk in from the tavern. Our eyes briefly meet, and she opens her mouth to say something, then stops when I shake my head. Oh, Lucette thinking to herself. I do not want to hear her blame me for my father's death. Certainly that must be what she's thinking. Ophelia frowns, but does not speak. I quicken my pace, almost running as I head into the forest. The night is silent and calm, and the only sound I can hear is the gentle sway of the grass as I step through it. Lucette, thinking to herself, Mother is back because of me. If I hadn't revived her, Father would still be alive. How am I supposed to face everyone knowing that? Waltz has been trying to cheer me up. While I appreciate his company and concern, even he cannot help me come to terms with my mistakes. I hear footsteps behind me. I turn to see Waltz approaching with a frown on his face. Waltz. Lucette. Lucette, please, I am not in the mood to listen to your reassurances again. I do not need you to tell me again that this was not my fault. Waltz. Lucette, your father wouldn't want to see you like this. Lucette. How would you know what my father wanted? I snap at him without meaning to, not bothering to hide the irritation in my voice. Waltz. He'd want you to walk forward, not linger on a past that cannot be changed. Lucette. Silence. Waltz. You've been distancing yourself from us since the king passed. Don't think that I haven't noticed. Why is that? Lucette, thinking to herself, because this is the only way I can keep them safe. Kind of feel like silence is what I'm gonna try. So if Lucette remains silent, Waltz also is silent. Waltz. You know that I'll always be by your side, Lucette. Shouldering the burden will only worsen your pain. Lucette. Worsen? I already know the pain of losing someone that I love. I have brought nothing but suffering to those around me. I cannot get close to anyone again, lest I put them in danger. I have already lost my father, and I do not want to lose anyone else. Especially not you, Waltz. Waltz's eyes widen as he stares at me. Waltz. Silence. I want to show you something. Keep your eyes open, Lucette. You can't miss it. Waltz snaps his fingers, and golden orbs of light suddenly spring to life around us. Oh, this is it! This is the picture from the image from the opening song. Took a while. I can only marvel at the orbs of light floating around us. They look like stars dancing through the night. Lucette. It's beautiful. Waltz. You cannot truly appreciate how bright a star is without darkness. Waltz snaps his fingers again, and most of the lights go out. Waltz. During difficult times, the lights grow dimmer. He snaps again until only one light remains. Waltz. And when you're all alone, it grows even dimmer still. There are things that you cannot do on your own. Otherwise, you risk snuffing your own light out. Another snap and the golden Another snap and the golden orbs return, this time in great numbers. The lights are brighter than they were before. Waltz. You're not alone, Lucette. I love you, and it hurts to see you suffer alone like this. My heart is pounding so hard I fear it might escape my chest. In this moment, it feels as if time has stopped, and it is just the two of us. All I can see is Waltz. As I stand here staring at him, I come to a realization. Lucette, thinking to herself, I love him. When did this happen? After a few moments, I realize that it does not matter. I stand up on the tips of my toes so that I can cup Waltz's face in my hands. I move before I can think, leaning over to place a light kiss on his lips. There are so many good CG images in this. I think that's what they're called. There's so many good images in this one, in this chapter. Though it has also been really whiplashy. Oof. Although I loved the thing with the lights and the getting brighter and dimming. That was just so very like Waltz. Like, he's a storyteller at heart, and a storyteller who uses props to get his stories across, and that's exactly what he just did there. He kind of wove it into a little story and with little visuals for her. I feel an arm around me as Waltz pulls me closer. The kiss becomes more heated, and I feel a gentle flame stirring in my stomach, even as my mind becomes foggy. I feel his tongue on my lips, but when I part them, he has suddenly drawn away, his face deep red. Waltz. Sorry, I needed to catch my breath. Oh, I like the little animated plates. I feel the heat in my cheeks, and have to fight back my embarrassment. Lucette thinking to herself, I just kissed Waltz! I look up at Waltz, suddenly realizing how close he is to me. I quickly bury my face into his chest to hide my embarrassment. Waltz's chest rises and falls with his gentle laughter. Waltz, you're so cute. I close my eyes, allowing his warmth to envelop me like a blanket. Waltz, I love you, my little star. This is not just your battle anymore, Lucette. You don't have to carry this burden alone. So please, trust in me. Trust in us. I am overwhelmed, but Waltz's words make me feel strangely light, as if a weight has truly been lifted from my shoulders. Sorry, just trying to close some things in order to get the animation to go maybe smoother. Lucette. I will. Thank you. Waltz. We should go back now, or everyone else might get worried. Waltz places a soft kiss on my forehead and smiles at me as he pulls away. He extends a hand towards me. Waltz. Let's go, my little star. I smile as I slowly take his hand. We walk back to the march end, hand in hand, momentarily forgetting about all the bad things that have transpired. Okay, I'll admit, that's a way better place to end the chapter. Oh my gosh, like, you know, I thought Fritz's route was a roller coaster, but, like, to be fair, Fritz's route was a roller coaster that kept falling. Like, things kept getting worse and worse before they got better at the very end. Whereas this route has been a little more, has had as many ups as downs. And it is really nice to actually have, like, a very, like, you know, on the one hand, they killed Gennaro after some incredibly sweet bonding, but on the other hand, we got that incredibly sweet bonding time and them fully repairing their relationship before that happened. And also, that was a really good romance scene with Waltz. Like, very good, very good, very good, let's establish our romantic feelings for each other moment. But, woof, that was a lot. That was a lot. Very high highs and very low lows. Anyway, alright, so I should be, let's see. I should be back at it next week, but I will not be streaming the week after that, because the week after that is my birthday, and I will probably have other plans, so I might do a stream in honor of my birthday somewhere around there, but day of my birthday, I am taking off. So yes, so normal stream on the 9th and on the 23rd, but no stream on the 16th for this. So the 9th will be chapter 8, 23rd will be chapter 9, and the 30th should be chapter 10. So I will be finished with Cinderella Phenomenon by February, it looks like. So, you know, thank you all for sticking with me this long. So thanks, Johnny, and Puka was lurking, and Charlotte Charles. Thank you all for hanging out in my chat. Thank you anyone else who has been lurking. Thank you anyone who watches this later. I appreciate you all very, very much, and I will hopefully see some folks later. The rest of my stream schedule. I will be doing my normal, so I'll be continuing my Earthbound Beginnings stream on Friday afternoon, and I should be doing some co-op streaming Friday evening. And I am probably going to do the last chapter of my Silent Max run of Scarlet Hollow on Saturday. And then back to this for next Monday. So, hope to see some folks there. Bye! Oh, Johnny, yes, it has been a wild ride, and I also look forward to seeing how it ends. But yes, goodbye for now. I will be back next week. Bye!